Okay, can happen, you know, online meetings.
Hi again.
Yeah.
So, Selma, do you have an idea how many people are registered for this session?
No, but I think we can just start, no?
Yeah, I think we should, and then people will be joining, hopefully. So, all right, well, let me just say hello, everyone, on behalf of Victim Support Europe. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Alexandra Ivankovic. I'm the Deputy Director of Victim Support Europe, and I'm very happy to see you all here. Welcome. And I will now hand over the floor to Meher, who will be moderating this session, and I'm really looking forward to this discussion. So, Meher, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. To my knowledge, I'm not moderating the session. I think this is Barbara, but I'm the first speaker.
Sorry.
No, I don't know if Barbara should start or if I just start with my own presentation.
So maybe then we'll let Barbara. Sorry, Barbara, for this slip on my side. So thank you so much. And maybe I was just looking into the wrong version of the agenda. Anyway, Barbara, thank you so much for agreeing to moderate the session, and please take over. Very happy to see you virtually. We've been exchanging many emails, but we've never seen each other. Hope that will change soon.
Yes, I hope so, and I hope I can come and visit you. I'm all the way from Pretoria in South Africa, and it is piping hot on this side. It's really summer, and we've received good rain in this season. But Meyer, I'm so glad that you're going to do this session for us. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to mute your sound during the presentation so that we can give him absolutely the platform, because he's going to provide us with an overview on online possibilities that we can use for all types of organizations. He says he's a very enthusiastic, optimistic entrepreneur. I love that. And his passion is to make an impact on other people's lives, to uplift the people around him. And I think that is a wonderful place to start the afternoon.
Thank you so much, Barbara, for this warm introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Meyer. I'm the co-founder at Elastic and founder at PM Network. We'll see in a second why I'm mentioning both of these. PM Network is a tutoring platform. We help students around Belgium and the Netherlands to reach academic excellence. Elastic is a creative agency, and this is under this hat that I joined VSE today for this great conference. I've been working with VSE with my team for a while now on other projects, and a month and a half ago, they shared this willingness to create a platform where they would be able to provide trainings to their members and to their non-members so that they could bring and increase the awareness about victim support and what are the best practices around the world in order to help victims. And today my presentation is going to last around 15 minutes. And I will, as Barbara explained, provide an overview of the different types of possibilities we have from a general point of view, and also on a technical part. Also, I will mention a little bit what are the different options we have. And yes, this is mainly it. So as you guys all understand, I am already sure, the importance of education for such organization to be able to increase the reach in the actions that they do and that they pursue, being able to reach the awareness, and then they would not be the only one doing and achieving their mission. They would have other people doing this on their behalf with the best practices. And for this reason, of course, education and training people is a great way to increase the reach. Second point, of course, of online activities now. Of course, I don't have to mention these crazy times we are currently living in, and of course, these should also require online. That's not the only point for which we should switch to online, or at least consider this way of operating. Of course, it offers flexibility. It is also very practical. The reach is much bigger and much greater, as we can gather people from around the world in one session, as today is an example of. And yeah, for these two reasons, online training, online education is quite important, especially for such an organization, as it is able to generate a new source of income from which we can benefit and achieve our mission even greater with better tools. So there are different ways possible, and I think every single existing platform already is a different way to provide online trainings. There are as many ways as existing platforms differently to offer these trainings. I'll go over a few here. I have decided for today's session to explain them regarding three main characteristics, to differentiate what are the different possibilities we have and what are the advantages and disadvantages. Of course, each characteristic has some pros, has some cons, and we'll see together afterwards how we can overcome the challenges and yeah, have the best of both worlds in a way. The first type is synchronous and asynchronous activities, meaning real life activities, real time activities. For instance, this session is a real time activity, as you can understand. And then we have the opposite, which is the asynchronous. Of course, both have different advantages and disadvantages. Asynchronous means that everyone can assist and be present to the training whenever he wants. He doesn't have to respect a specific schedule. He can stop, pause, play, continue, and he really can go at his own pace. Synchronous doesn't provide this advantage. However, with synchronous, it is a nice way to meet, to connect with individuals, and then be more committed to the training. That's the first thing. Second point, we have the one-to-one training setting and the one-to-many training setting. Regarding PM Network, the platform I founded 2 years ago, this is a one-to-one. Of course, it has great advantage, great value, because you can really focus on the student and the trainee and its needs, and really be custom to what he's expecting from the session, and make sure that you can work on his weaknesses and make advantage of his strengths. At the same time, one-to-one meeting implies high capacity, or at least because we all have limited capacity in terms of resources, the reach is not maximal. And then the one-to-many, of course, the one-to-many setting, of course, implies that there is less customization during the training. At the same time, the reach is much bigger. So if I have to give this training once to every single person in this room separately, it will take me for a week. If I gather you all guys together and I give this training only once, it takes only 1 hour. So this is the next point. Then we have the collaborative learning and the individual learning. The collaborative learning is allowing the group to connect with each other, and to really create a synergy by working together towards the same goal. Everyone can bring insights, and then we have this type of constant brainstorming that is great in terms of value, because I have mentioned the synergy already. However, this might reduce the pace of the training, and this might sometimes lead to confusing conversations, or at least mislead the conversation, as it might go to different directions at the same time. The individual learning is more focused. Usually this is much faster in terms of time. However, it might be too focused in this case, and it might be that the students don't consider all the different possibilities and have only access to their own knowledge, their own insight, and what the training is providing. If we want to include within the training platform a way to assess the knowledge, then we can measure the performance. And for this, we have also different options. We have, in a very broadly speaking, we have the individual assessment, the custom assessment, which would be a one-to-one interview, which could be in form of an essay that you have to write, a paper you have to submit, this type of assessment. Again, same as to the one-to-one, this takes some time because the resources are limited. On the other hand, it is really focused again on the student's knowledge, and we can really highlight, okay, what are the good points so far and what do we still need to improve together. The standardized assessment, however, has a big reach and at the same time cannot be fully customized to the student. Lastly, to make a platform successful, and this I know a bit about because I have been running my own platform now for more than 2 years, we need to include some incentives. We need to incentivize the users, the trainers, the trainees to commit to the platform and make use of it. For this, there is this whole theory about affective commitment and calculative commitment. I won't go into the details. Simply remember that affective commitments relates to everything that implies I am using the platform because I want to. I have affection towards this platform, towards this service. And then the calculative commitment is I am using the platform because I need to. Okay, this is more of a rational point of view. And the best way, of course, is to combine both type of incentives. An incentive for the affective commitment could be, for instance, the fact that you believe you are part of a community. You're part of a community, and then you feel like you have a higher status or you have more knowledge. You are a certified user, a certified trained person, individual. This is one way to reach the affective commitment. The calculative commitment could be because you have to meet some specific criteria, some specific certificates that we deliver at the end of the training, and making a combination of both affective and calculative ways to commit is the best way to make the platform successful. Because building a whole platform, a very complex platform that you have thought of and you built it for years, and then you put it on, you put it live, and then no one uses it, or at least no one uses it the way you wanted it to be used in order to provide the biggest value to the end users, to the trainees. That's a shame. And in order to avoid this, having these incentives is very important. Another type of incentive is regarding the gamification. Of course, adding gamification features, and this can be very basic, and it can increase to something very, very specific and very precise. In terms of gamification, we could go from rankings to specific certified members, for instance, for specified users. These are all ways to increase also the incentive, and this would go towards the affective commitment. I'm using the platform because I want to. These are all the different possibilities for the platform. As a quick recap, we have the live activities and the recorded activities. Okay, this could be video, this could be media, this could be pictures, graphs, whatever. Then we have the one-to-one or the one-to-many. And again, we have seen the different advantages and disadvantages of each. Collaborative, where everyone speaks together, gather together, and they really brainstorm and bring more insight. This takes longer, but then you can really explore different ways for tackling a specific problem, for instance. Or you have the individual way, which is much faster, much solution-oriented, but you don't consider all possibilities. And then in terms of performance measurement, you could have the custom or the standardized way of measuring the performance. Now the challenge, because we have seen different ways, is to be able to combine all different type of characteristics in a way that we benefit from almost, if not all, of the advantages, and at the same time, we don't lose any value to the solution we're providing, and we are overcoming all the disadvantages that I have mentioned so far. And this is exactly what Elastic is currently building for VSE, a platform where we would be able to combine all these types of learning, online training, in a way that we would benefit at the same time from this one-to-one custom approach, at the same time having this big reach where we could do activities that could be easily scalable and that would have more impact and more reach, and at the same time synchronous and asynchronous to have higher flexibility, higher practicality for all the end users. And all these ideas are, of course, towards one direction, providing the end users, providing the trainees with the most advantage and the most value from the solution we are building. Now, from a technical point of view, I won't enter into the details. From a technical point of view, on the market, we have three broad solutions. First solution is to go with a fully custom solution. So really building the whole solution from scratch, easy. Again, you understand the costs that are higher, the time that's also higher, but then it's custom, so you can have more value. Then there are already existing solutions. Some companies, they have built solutions that are ready to work. You can simply either purchase a license or you purchase it as a product, and then you can launch it within your organization. This is great because in terms of costs, you can understand, and research and development, this is much lower. However, this is, of course, not custom to your organization. And then again, the third possibility is to have both something custom coming from something that is not. So we start with a solution that a company created, okay? And then from this standardized solution, we are able to customize it in the best way in order for the end users, again, to have the more knowledge and the most value from the solution we are providing. And this can save, of course, some money in terms of development. We don't need to develop something from scratch. At the same time, we can make sure that we don't lose in quality because we are building something really customized to the end users and to the purpose of the organization. Now, what VSE is doing now is taking, of course, a lot of time, a lot of effort. Alexandra knows what I'm talking about with all the meetings we've had and all the we've spent together and exchanging emails also with Levent. And in terms of money, of course, this represents a financial investment that cannot be avoided in a way. However, for VSE, it was very important to be able to build a solution that other organization, members and non-members, would be allowed to use. And this is why within VSE's solution that we are currently building, it is going to be possible for all type of organization to join VSE's solution in order for them to deliver their own training to their staff or to external members of their organizations. And this is, again, in a way for VSE to increase the reach of their trainings and increase the possibilities for other organizations that don't have either the time, the effort, or the financials to implement such a solution that is custom for their purpose. As a summary, we've seen all types of existing platforms. We understand that every single platform on the market is one specific type, and we have as many types as many existing platforms on the market. My personal platform, that's the name, is a face-to-face activity, only live activity online. And then, of course, in order to deliver a high volume of trainings, I need a high volume of trainers. So my capacity is really limited. My supply cannot be scaled very easily. This is for my specific platform. For VSE's current platform, the challenge was really to be able to build a solution that meets all the advantages we can get from the different types. We've seen the real life activities, non-real life activities, the custom and the standardized. We've also seen the standard assessment and the custom assessment, and VSE's solution is able at the end to deliver both type of advantages while overcoming the challenges that we have already mentioned. And Elastic in this whole project is really making sure that from the existing solution on the market, we're able to make it perfectly custom and perfectly designed for their purpose, because of course we don't teach mathematics the way we teach victim support. That makes sense, and this is the whole purpose of this project we have undergone together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think it was an excellent presentation, and now you can stop to breathe. Maya, you've really done very well. Ladies and gentlemen, we are keeping an eye on the time. Please don't worry, and you can contact the presenters at the end. Victim Support Europe will make the information available, and at the end of all 3 presentations, there will be time for questions and answers. So Melissa, Sunino is our next speaker. She's originally from Italy, and she's going to do a wonderful presentation on facing facts. She has been coordinating European Union projects since 2011, and I think that what she's going to say is very important if I remember the rehearsal very well. Her passion is good food and wine. Obviously, she's Italian, reading books and traveling. So sorry you couldn't travel much, but I'm so glad that you can share your presentation with us.
Thank you for the introduction, Barbara. And thank you, Maher, also for your presentation. I was like freezing on my, bubbly on my chair because that's really my cup of tea. And I'm really glad that, you introduce all those concepts that we will probably unpack a little bit more in my presentation. I should be able to share a PowerPoint. So probably just doing the desktop, and you now should see my beautiful screensaver here, which is my son. And so I'm sorry because I mean unlike Zoom, I cannot split the screen and see you and the presentation at the same time. But I'll try to keep it brief, the presentation, so that we can leave more room for discussion. What I'm going to present you, it's the project that I managed since 2011. It's Facing Facts. That aims to generate effective responses to the problem of hate crime and hate speech. So in this presentation, we are going to see all the aspects that Maher raised about the challenges and limitations of online learning into for the specific topic of hate crime and hate speech. Just few words about the organization I work for, which is CEJ, A Jewish Contribution to an Inclusive Europe, which is the coordinator of the Facing Facts initiative. Our core business is education. CEJ has been providing diversity training, anti-discrimination training since 1990. And we are facilitators. We are facilitators of learning, but also facilitators of intercultural dialogue. And that's where our expertise in facilitation is brought in all the activities that we implement. And we are doing advocacy, and we advocate for the importance of training and cooperation. So the first 2 points for implementing anti-discrimination policies. So, as I was saying before, Facing Facts started in 2011, and it's almost turning 10. It will be its 10th anniversary very, very soon. And we always kept our Facing Facts identity, but the project has evolved a lot over the years. We started at the beginning with the specific aim to build the capacities of civil society organizations to monitor hate crimes. So what are hate crimes? Hate crimes are criminal acts motivated by bias. And what we tried to do since the very beginning was to take a victim-centered approach to tackle this problem. And the first 2 years were very big, focusing on developing capacity building tools for civil society organization. We produced a train the trainer manual, a set of guidelines, and everything at that time was happening in person. We kept going also after the end of the EU funding, which kicked the first phase of the project. And we started the Facing Facts forward also to take a multi-stakeholder approach. The main idea is that hate crime affects us all, not only because it's a problem in society, which might generate tensions and risk in society, but also because victims of hate crimes are targeted because of their identity, but also because of their presumed identity, which means that it's about, what the perpetrators has in mind, and anyone can be a target of hate crime because of what the perpetrator think. And so in this moment, we, from 2013, we started to take a multi-stakeholder approach, and we try to engage in our activities, not only civil society organizations, but also the other who were involved at different level in tackling the problem of hate crime. So namely, international organizations such as the OSCE and the FRA and the European Commission, equality bodies, public governments, public authorities, law enforcement, etc. At some point, we realized that offering in-person training was challenging for a variety of reasons. First of all, for civil society organization, it was an incredible investment in time and resources to attend, for instance, a 5-day train-the-trainer programs on how to monitor hate crime. So that's why in 2015, we started to work on setting up an e-learning platform, Facing Facts Online, which we will see more in detail afterwards. And in 2016, we started the Facing All the Facts project. So we have expanded our partnership. We started as a partnership of 4 civil society organizations. We are now a bigger partnership, including also 3 law enforcement public authorities in 3 different countries, Hungary, UK, and Italy, civil society organizations, but also international organizations, umbrella organizations such as the INAR and ILGA. So as I said before, and also we will take a tour of our e-learning platform, we enter the e-learning world, and it has been challenging for several reasons, and perhaps we can talk through that more in details afterwards during the discussion. And our target groups are basically all the stakeholders I mentioned earlier. And over the years, we managed to develop specific and customized training course for all of them. So civil society organizations, but also researchers and individual activists that are quite often coming to our online courses. And we are also targeting policymakers. We have developed a specific online course on decision-making on hate crime. So what kind of courses we offer? Maher earlier, he outlined some of the typologies of training that are possible. The thing is that the possibilities are quite infinite, but if I have to categorize what kind of training we offer regular courses that can be also seen more as an online resources with asynchronous activities, which means that people can access the course. They have 40 days to go through the entire course. They are accessible on our e-learning platform, and they can gain the knowledge delivered in the platform, also with interactive activities, but there's no tutoring and there's no tutor presence in the course. What is there is the discussion forum, so we allow for peer review and learning in our courses, also in those that are so-called asynchronous courses. We have also on-demand courses that we offer. What does it mean? That we are asked maybe by organizations. For instance, we are organizing an on-demand course for the OSCE missions to Bosnia and Herzegovina next week. So we have an organization like the OSCE that wants to train a group of people, let's say 30 people from their staff on a specific aspect around hate crime and hate speech. And we organize a cohort, so a virtual classroom that lasts for 4 weeks, 3 weeks, depending on the program. And they are all together on the course. There are tutors, 1 or more, depending on the amount of people enrolled to the course. And the activities are a combination of synchronous and asynchronous activities. There is a strong tutor presence, facilitating and animating also the discussion forum. Peer learning is strongly recommended and encouraged. And the live sessions are also demanding some active engagement from participants. So they are not webinar where they only listen. There is a demand for them to be actively engaged with the course. And then third category, we have custom-made courses. What does it mean? That we develop online courses that then are migrated on other e-learning platforms. For instance, we have developed 4 online courses for 4 police forces in Italy, Hungary, UK, and Ireland. Actually, the one in Ireland is under construction. But we work very close with public authorities, and we develop specific courses for them. So at the end of the development phase, the course is owned by the client, and we work very close with the authorities, conducting training needs assessment. So it's not only about delivery, you're kind of also bringing there also our advocacy and our organizational value in order to match the 2 things. So that's our e-learning platform, facingfactsonline.eu, and I maybe will take you to a tour of that. And I hope there's no technical problem, just in case the moderator can let me know, because I don't see the platform, the team platform now. So this is an overview of our courses. Of course, the main topics covered by our course are hate crime and hate speech. Lately, we're also developing anti-bias training. But yeah, those are the main area that we cover, and we can easily say that our e-learning platform is the only e-learning platform covering hate crime and hate speech. There are like institutional learning platforms such as the Council of Europe Help, but they're very different. So this is a kind of a course catalog that you can also filter. These are the bias indicators courses. We developed 7 bias indicators courses on specific community groups affected by hate crime and hate speech. We have all the set of hate speech courses that can be accessible. Some of them are always accessible. Others can only be taken during cohorts, like this one. And this is the actual platform. Of course, I'm logged in, and you probably also see things that normal students don't see because I'm a manager here. But I mean, that's for you to see the online environment. You basically have a dashboard, which is the place where you can see all the courses where you are enrolled. This is my, let's say, badges section. As Meyer was saying before, there are incentives for people to remain engaged in a course, certificates of some of them, and we are giving certificates to people who complete the courses. And so there's our sample of badges, electronic badges that we provide participants. This is one of our courses, the course on understanding and identifying disability hate crimes. You'll see that activities can be clicked on and open. There's always a discussion forum at the beginning of each course, and there are material that can be downloaded. This is, on the other hand, an example of on a course that we run in cohort during the summer. We felt the need during the lockdown to offer something meaningful to our users, and we started this cohort on how to respond to hate crimes in a time of global crisis, the pandemics, the other crises that have hit our world in the recent months. And I think it's interesting to see here also the level of engagement in the discussion forum. Let's see one of the first. So we ask, this Jonah Perry is one of our trainers, and we ask people to share thoughts and example of hate crime, and there was a discussion that generated quite an interesting exchange among participants that of course had the opportunity to learn also through the exchange with other participants. And this is the course on hate speech. And this is the most recent course that we are giving to the staff of the European Commission on unmasking anti-Semitism. And what is interesting about online courses that they can always be updated, and we can, I think that the difference with in-person training is that here it's always up to date, because if anything happens and anything new come up, we can post it. Let me go back to the presentation. And just a few words, to connect also the e-learning area environment to the scope of Victim Support Europe, or in general, having in mind the needs of victims. What we have been trying to do with the Wall Facing Facts initiative was to shift the attention from international legislative framework and what are the duties for governments. For instance, there is a lot of pressure from European Union institutions toward governments and national governments to increase and improve the recording and reporting of hate crime. But the thing is that often we forget what all this is about. Why a victim should come to the police and report a hate crime if he or she doesn't think that she or she will get something back in return to the act of reporting. So there is a need to shift toward a victim and outcome focused framework that can be applied to many areas around hate crime and hate speech. And this is an example of how we applied it to the improving of recording and increasing reporting, because having increased support, it actually ensures that victims feels a sense of justice coming to them, and probably make higher the chances that they will report to the authorities when something happens. And this is one of the elements that we developed, because actually another thing to be noted with the Facing Facts initiative is that research and training goes hand in hand. And we ran a 3 years research in 6 countries, and with a collaborative approach, we basically produced 6 national reports and a European report. And one of the outcomes of this report is this journey of a hate crime case that can also be called a victim's journey throughout a hate crime case, where you see all the stakeholders involved, and you see the victims, which are disoriented, which are doubtful about reporting. And when finally one of them, the one with the red hat, decides to report, you can see the journey that he has to go through the entire life of a hate crime, investigation, prosecution, sentencing. And you can see all this all in the safety net, and the safety net represents the civil society organization, the victim support organization. You can see all these cracks where the victim risks to fall through because there's no support and because there's no attention to victims, and you can see the whole system, how it works. But I'm showing you this also to show you how this can, the products of our research are also integrated into e-learning, because, for instance, we developed an activity based on the research, and here you can see how we developed an H5P activity where participants can interact with the map and being asked questions, and can see other elements more in detail. And these are also other products that we are distributing via our e-learning platform, which again have the victims and the communities in the first place. Put the victims and communities in the first place, and those are all guides to the different communities, because another thing that we stress in our courses is that communities needs to be known by law enforcement, by the public authorities that are supposed to deal with them, and because there is a lot of diversity and complexity within each community, and victims can benefit from law enforcement more prepared to respond and to know their specificities. So that's in. How do I come back? Sorry. Okay. I don't know how to stop sharing. Okay. Did I stop it? No. Yes.
Yes, you did.
So that's more or less an overview, and I don't know, we can, if you like, I want to leave room for questions, but I can also answer some of the challenges and questions that Maher raised in relation to our experience. So, but maybe that's for later.
Melissa, thank you very much. And you've got the most beautiful baby. Thank you for sharing the victim-centered approach and the multi-stakeholder approach. I think that is excellent. We're now going to proceed to my presentation. I am the CEO of Intertrauma Nexus, which is a victim support organization that has been operating in South Africa for the past 23 years. And I was very fortunate to be able to study in my field of work and to formalize the studies. I just quickly want to see how we're going to do the presentation. My presentation is on my last doctorate that I did and how we rolled it out.
From Pretoria in South Africa. We are talking about the multidimensional online training strategy that we've been.
Sorry for that hitch.
Hello, Barbara.
Good afternoon.
Hi, it's Selma. Can you hear me?
Selma, are you going to put it on from your side?
So I'm trying to put your presentation, but today I don't know why Teams is abandoning me, so I can't share my screen and show your video. I don't know if you...
Do you want to send it to me, Selma?
Yes, if it's possible, I will try.
Okay, I see it now.
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah, can you just play it?
Is it from my computer?
From Pretoria in South Africa. We are talking about
Are you seeing it now?
Yeah, we see it. If everyone can just mute their microphones, we're having some background noise. The sound is not the best. So if whoever's playing the video can just play it and everyone else just turn the volume up. We don't have the sound. We lost the video. Selma, can you send me the video or tell me where it's saved? Is it saved on SharePoint?
No, I will try to send it to you.
All right. I'm sorry about this. We're doing our best to make, this is why we have this session, to improve our performance in online delivery of things in general, trainings included. Selma, did you send me the video?
Right, stop, sit me up. Sit me up your video and stop it. Sit me up your video.
So maybe while we're waiting for the video to
maybe we should let's leave the video for the moment. I don't know what to do about it, but that would not be fair to the other presenters. Let's go for the questions and the answers.
Or maybe Barbara, you can just tell us without the video. Maybe you could just give us a brief summary of what your video was about. Or if you're uncomfortable with
Yeah,
that,
I'm
then
not
we can go to
comfortable.
questions.
Let's go for the questions and answers for the sake of the people who's with us.
All right, and then I'll check with Selma in the background if we can work on playing the video from our end. All right. Okay. So I saw. Okay. I'll let you then do the things, and I don't know. You probably saw the questions and the discussion that was in chat. Barbara, did you see that?
Okay, I think that, for instance, Rosanna struggled with connection. I see she went up and down. We've got the recording of the session, so you will be able to access it. And as I said, you will also be able to contact the presenters and get their presentations. May I ask you to write your questions for us so that we can quickly go through it? Is there any questions?
I saw that Nikita had some concerns about the online interaction. So Nikita, if you might maybe explain what your reservations are.
Hello, now here I am.
Yes.
So I just wanted to share our experience because we have, for maybe more than 8 years, have been organizing trainings for volunteers in live. And we have a lot of interaction with them because we want to get to know them well, because they are providing support to victims, and because we want to choose the best volunteers, because we have to guarantee that they are going to approach victims in adequate way. So sometimes, and I now have experience of providing meetings and supervision online, and this way of communication for me is not enough, because I want to feel and get much better, to get know much better the volunteer in some interaction, and I think it's not possible online. So I think we shouldn't stick on only with online trainings. We should mix trainings online and in personal. And I think we shouldn't give up from our previous habits of meeting, training, joining each other, and having opportunity to meet each other, drinking coffee or exchange some information. And especially there is also I wonder how can we see all the reactions of the person, and in this virtual way I think it's not possible. So I don't know if you understood what are my concerns. I'm not against these new technologies, but I have some doubts about the quality and interpersonal interactions.
Melissa, do you have experience with that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, just for the records, we have set up our e-learning platform back in 2015, not as a consequence of the pandemic or the emergency that we currently have. So we did so because we really believe in the value of e-learning. And I understand and I hear your skepticism about the the efficiency of this type of training, and about the idea that, oh my God, in-person training are so much better. We can look each other into the eyes, and we can sip coffee together during the breaks. And I'm not saying that e-learning can replace in-person training, but I strongly believe that can be a great complement to it. Just for you to give you, and also, well, two things. First of all, there is plenty of online learning offer out there. I think that the first step is making a conscious choice and investing resources and time into quality products. Because anyone can set up in one day a Moodle page. Moodle is the e-learning platform that we use. It's for free, and anyone can set up a course in there. So it's really, someone familiar, tech savvy can really put that up in enough day, and you have a course there. But the thing is that you need to consider the work that is behind good quality e-learning. We started in 2015, and now after almost 5 years, we feel like that we are navigating through, to the right direction with this, and that we build our e-learning identity. Even though we are coming with a background of 25, almost 30 years of experience of in-person training in this area. So the first thing is that not everyone with experience in in-person training can then translate the courses into an e-learning product. There must be capacities, there must be dialogue between the technical and the content development side. There must be done a work of on the identity of the e-learning product that wants to be developed. Secondly, what I can share is the experience that we just had. SEGI is usually giving every year an in-person training to the staff of the European Commission on unconscious bias, specifically on unmasking anti-Semitism, so on anti-Semitic prejudices and bias for the staff of the European Commission. And we have been doing that quite successfully for 5 years in person. So these years we were asked to do that online. And we were doubtful because we were not convinced about the possibility of e-learning in this specific area. And now we delivered the first session, and we are so pleased with the results of that, because we offer a blended learning. So we had a mix of asynchronous and synchronous activity. We had live session, but we also had the platform where content stays and people can go there. And we have the discussion forum, which is extremely animated. And then in this given moment, people is really interacting there. And also, I think that there is a need for a change in a mindset here, which is about believing in the tools available and shifting a little bit the perspective, because we have witnessed to great exchanges in our discussion forum. Peer learning is possible in so many ways, also online. We had asked people to share assignment and to work together on a specific assignment. We had people sharing during the live tutorial sessions, and we also managed to somehow manage the feelings and the emotions around specific topics, because hate crime and hate speech can be very sensitive to people. So everything is quite possible on an e-learning environment. I'm not saying that e-learning should replace the in-person, but I think it's worth investing time and resources on it. I hope this answers a little bit your question.
I would be, if you allow me, I would be maybe a bit more extreme on this, saying that, of course, this is a very correct point. E-learning can be a very, very good complementer to in real life activities. From my personal experience, that is not of 10 years, with my own platform, it's been now 2.5 years. We've switched completely online, and I am now currently managing 12 branch managers across Belgium and the Netherlands, all the way from Ghent in Belgium up to Rotterdam in the Netherlands. And I have never met these people that are now working with me in person for more than a year. And the key thing, and Melissa definitely mentioned it already, it's not simply about switching to online platform or online learning. It's really creating an environment where people will be able to learn, develop, feel comfortable within this environment, and be able to acquire new knowledge, new skills, in order for them later on to deliver better quality or even best quality in whatever task they're doing. And this switch from in real life activity to online learning is not simply about IT system that you put in. And as Melissa has already mentioned, it's about all the strategic positioning, all the communication we'll be providing to this, and the global environment and the guidance we'll be providing to the trainees. So in my opinion, it could also be that it is the only way for activities. However, then it should be done in a complete setting and a whole package, more than just an online solution IT developed.
And also, just maybe a last addition on that, online training, especially for the NGO sectors, but for those that are coming from my specific field, can be a great amplifier of what we usually do in person with limited resources. For instance, with the courses that we developed for police officers in 3 countries, we are now reaching 2,000 of police officers. Even if, we could commit 3 trainers from our organization to go and meet in person for I don't know how many trainings during a year, police officers, we would have never managed to reach out to all these people. And I'm not saying that meeting them in person would be helpful to complement and to integrate the learning, but I think it's a good step into raising at least some awareness in this specific target group. That's one example.
Thank you very much. Is there more questions?
Maybe, Barbara, if we can try to play the video. I think Selma managed to get the video up. So if we can try to play your video.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, and we can see your video, the screen that you shared.
Okay, so I'll just play it now.
Yeah.
Good morning, I'm Professor Barbara Lowe from Pretoria in South Africa. We are talking about a multidimensional online training strategy that we've been following for the past 3 years. I would especially like to thank Victim Support Europe for inviting me to be part of the presentation. Congratulations with your annual conference in 2020. I believe it was hugely challenging to arrange that. Now, as far as victim support is concerned, the South African government started the crime prevention strategy in our country in 1998. This strategy has 4 pillars. Victim support was one of those pillars. And during this time, we started Inter-Trauma Nexus. The we that I'm talking about is my husband and I and a team of volunteers that decided that somehow it seems that perpetrators have more rights than victims. And we worked in the center of Sunnyside, a suburb in Pretoria, where there was huge challenges because of poverty and so on during that time. So from there, we developed and we grew into various areas. The first one is then Inter-Trauma Nexus, which is a non-profit company, but we also developed a private practice. Aquila Advisors worked with corporate companies, and our latest venture is Kaila Institute, where we are focusing on non-formal adult education. So this is where I'm coming from originally. The partners that worked closely with us in this online training venture is then the Council for Educators of South Africa. This council is an institutional professional body, and they really do a lot to help educators from various communities. I am involved with the Employee Assistance Practitioners Association of South Africa, and the Financial Planning Institute of South Africa is also a member of the Financial Planning Standards Board, which is an international board, and they made some of their training available. The Association of Christian Religious Practitioners and some of the Bible schools also partnered with us to make the online training available. The 8E approach that we use in the training is not just the theoretical approach. We are very passionate about encouraging people to do what they do best, to care as much as they can. And somehow, because of the distances between cities and the people in the rural areas, We need to engage with people. And that was one of the most important considerations in enabling people to do what they are passionate about. Empowering people means that we are trying to enable people without taking their specific problems out of their hands. Equipment for us is making appropriate training available to them. I am going to say more about this a little bit later, but the equipment is also to enable them to use what they have where they are, so that they can start where they are at, and to enhance their skills. Right in the beginning, when we started into Trauma Nexus, it was very challenging because police stations and community centers didn't really have designated areas where people could help each other. But they made plans, the most wonderful, wonderful plans. I remember in those years, there was support groups that gathered together under the big, big tree in the center of that township areas, and they excelled because they encouraged each other, they helped each other to grow, and that's where we come to evolving. One of the most special stories that I have is I trained volunteers for a township area. The township area's name is Atteridgeville. Atteridgeville is towards the west of Pretoria, and I trained a whole team, and I had a facilitator. And then there was a strike of all the retailers, and they recruited those volunteers to come and work as casual laborers for a season of time. Well, to make a long story short, they employed that whole team of workers, which meant that my victim support team was now employed, and they were not all that available anymore, and I had to start from scratch. But I think if we can evolve and get involved in communities to help people to create jobs, that is an excellent, excellent place to be. Now, as we continue, we had to look at the different needs of people in the various communities. The needs varied on the one level, and on the other level, it stayed more or less the same. So the major need was for information, and at that, accurate information. Information that is appropriate to the needs and the questions of that community. Another community where I got involved is Eersterus. Eersterus is towards the northeast of Pretoria, and it was classified in the apartheid years as a colored community. And we thought things like drug abuse, gangs, and rapes were rife when we started working there. But the people wanted the most basic education. They wanted the most basic information about things like how to access a day hospital for their people, how to access the cemetery, how to get their children to use the library. And we had to take a step back and help people with their personal skills. Even today, when we work with people, we first have to address their questions before we can come and introduce new concepts, new ways of working with each other. The third need that we identified is basic equipment to support victims. And I'm using the word victims and not survivors because there's a lot of politics around these two words, but somehow there's a portion of the community that think we have to focus on counseling, but basic victim support remains very, very important. The next level, and that was one of the bigger challenges, was professional training. People are social workers, they are medical staff, they are counselors, but they need training in how to deal with victims. Then, in South Africa, there's a whole movement towards professionalizing a lot of the opportunities, and continuous professional development is core for a lot of the professional bodies. We got involved in that, which was very, very successful and very rewarding. And then the one thing that many people overlook is the frontline workers became victims. You think that you are the counselor, and somewhere along the line or during your life as a professional, you might be victimized, because trauma is a normal part of life, but the aftermath, the way of dealing with it, for the frontline workers is very difficult, because somehow, speaking from my own experience, I had this idea that it can't happen to me. I will be able to cope in any situation. After the attack in the street, I realized that, you know, somewhere I have to stop, and I need help. I need support with the basic emotions. And sometimes for frontline workers to be victimized is worse, because they've got this notion of, I'm doing good for the community. How can this happen to me? How can this be part of my reality? So, the first two online workshops that we embarked on was addressing bullying and dealing with cyberbullying. These two online workshops became core to my postdoctoral research project, and it's now being expanded into numerous other projects around caring and kindness. And there's books going to follow on this one. The reason why we embarked on this one was because we saw that it was for some communities very difficult to come forward and say there is bullying in my community, because the bullying and the cyberbullying, it had a lot of myths and preconceptions around it, and we had to address that in a safe way to make the biggest impact. When I talk about the biggest impact, the challenges that we faced started in 2017 to 2019, where we traveled great distances in South Africa to try and offer training in all the major centers in town. But somehow it was very expensive, because as we traveled through South Africa's got 9 provinces. Each province has got a center, and people also then had to travel in that province to that center. The traveling involved traveling costs, accommodation, and then obviously paying for the training. We don't get government funding as an organization, because there's also a few challenges. But besides that point, the challenges also involved the diverse communities. In South Africa, we don't have a homogeneous community. There's 9 official languages. I think there's another 11 languages that's spoken from people that come from outside of the country, which is not really a big problem as far as the training is concerned, because for most of us, English is our second language, and we adapt, and we are able to have resources to help us to navigate through that. Poverty or a lack of resources is a huge, huge problem. So not all the people in this country is poor, but everybody struggles with resources. For instance, our internet costs are very, very high. We don't always have constant flow of electricity because of other challenges in our community. And I'm working very hard not to go into that one. A variety of levels of literacy. I do believe that when we talk about victim support and the wonderful supporters in our community, you do not need a doctorate to be able to help other people. You need a caring heart. And we wanted to equip people on the various levels of literacy so that they can make an impact where they are with what they have. Right? Sadly, there's a lack of access to training, because with the poverty, there's other issues that's more important. Although crime and victimization is rife, training is not the top priority. And then, as I said, my organization doesn't get any government funding, so the affordability of training is very important. Somehow, we see that there's a lot of organizations that have training available, but they still charge exuberant fees that I do not always know how that can be accountable. So, that being said, on 26 March in 2020, COVID-19 pandemic hit us in all its glory. That was the day of the lockdown in South Africa, and we expected that this lockdown would be for about 3 weeks, and then we will be back to normal. I even started to write the Support in a Disaster workshop, online workshop. And between my team and myself, we decided, let's make it sponsored. We will sponsor it. That will be the good for our community to make a difference. So now remember, my mindset was that we're going to do this for 21 days and then we're done and dusted. But with all the health issues and all the challenges in this country, with HIV, with TB, and with people's inability to listen, we had an extension of the lockdown for a long, long time. Now the workshop remained available on a daily basis for 52 days. And I think it was one of the most successful test programs that we could run. It was challenging to write for 52 days in Afrikaans and English. We even got videos going of Stevie. Stevie was the mascot for the Stop Bullying campaign that we incorporated in the managing the disaster process. With the free workshop, we got a lot of people involved that would not otherwise be able to afford training. I mean, they sat at home, they just needed a computer and airtime, and they participated. And the feedback was tremendous. And that encouraged us to work further on the online training. So as we worked further with the online training, the solutions for the participants in the online workshops was to make it accessible for participants across the whole country. Great was our surprise to see that there were people outside South Africa, as far as Canada and New Zealand, that enrolled for the workshop. That was very encouraging, and I trust that we made a difference. When we did the workshop, we also said that we're going to let people work at their own pace. In other words, they could start the workshop and work on a day's work, and if they couldn't work further on that very same day, they could pick up later. So all the online workshops work on this principle. It is asynchronous so that we can incorporate and we can include more people. You work at your own pace. And that was one of the biggest success points of our online training. We went further and we went back to our partners and we said that we want all the workshops to be linked to continuous professional development activities. So if somebody participated, that for those for whom it was important that they would be able to link it with their professional development. Because remember, the country was in lockdown. There was no professional training that was available at that stage. Later, some other partners came on board and they offered their activities. But what made us unique was monthly coaching conversations and group sessions. We incorporated social media like Facebook, and Zoom helped us tremendously to make a difference on that one. And as we got the questions and the needs and the feedback from the Managing the Disaster workshop, we incorporated that in the conversations, and we will continue doing that because that is really very successful to allow people to interact with us as people. Now, as people, you see the participants sometimes were victimized. They were on the receiving end of what was going on. For that reason, we made facilitators available to be on standby during the training. also one of the success elements of our online training. We will have facilitators available to help the participants with whatever they ask us to help with. Sometimes it's just questions of how should we go further? How do I deal with this situation? But we've also got extensive referral lists so that we can refer people who need other professional help because of what they went through. We tried to make the online training easy. We tried to make it practical when you are sitting in front of your computer, where there's no facilitator right next to you, by offering or by making videos available to assist with the registration process and with other payment processes and so on. In other words, participants could, on the public platform, click on how to register, how to pay, what is CPD points, and make the workflow easy. So we really try to make it as uncomplicated as possible. In the workshop itself, you work one step at a time. You are not inundated with a huge thick PDF document that you have to work through. No, we guide you step by step so that if there's a specific step where you get stuck, that the facilitator can help you to deal with that specific step. Our certificates are downloadable immediately after the workshop. That was necessary because our postal services came to a standstill and people needed the certificates for their work. And the most wonderful thing for me was when some people gave us feedback to say that with the support in a disaster workshop, they were able to get jobs online as COVID officers. Isn't that wonderful to think that you work blindly on a project, you don't know where the project is going, and people can get jobs? In South Africa, that is a big deal. All the certificates are verifiable. There's a QR code on each certificate that can be scanned, and immediately you can verify whether the certificate or the presenter of the certificate is the person who completed the workshop. Now, the successful topics that we tackled after that one was dealing with the reality of suicide. Unfortunately, in the COVID-19 period, we had some professionals that were so overburdened by the impact of COVID that we saw too many suicides, and that was the first workshop that we tackled. We also brought a workshop for victim empowerment, volunteer management, miscarriage and stillbirth, how parents mourn, how adults mourn, and also a separate workshop on how children mourn. One of the most enjoyable workshops that I could initiate was the therapeutic value of arts and play. And there the standpoint was that playing and doing art is natural and it's necessary for us to be well and to be whole on the inside. That people, young and old, solve their problems while they are busy enjoying what they're doing. Now, I so appreciate you being in this workshop. And my encouragement for you would be, let us make a difference to at least one person's life every day, and the world will be a better place. Nothing that you do and nothing that you share with other people will ever be wasted. Kindness is not wasted. So let's make kindness our new norm in our community.
So, well, I guess that at least one of the Barbara's problems turned to be actual at the moment, because she seems to have been disconnected from the meeting, and unfortunately we don't have other means to connect with her. So I'm really sorry for you missing the opportunity to ask her any follow-up questions. It was really impressive to learn about, especially about organizations that operate in an environment that's much more that has many less benefits than the ones that we have in Europe. And then, like, when we hear about these kinds of experiences, then we realize that many of our problems literally are first world problems. So what I can suggest is that if any of you have any questions, please forward them to us and we'll make sure that Barbara responds to them. So I'm really sorry about this, but that's definitely risk 101 in conducting online events. So I don't know if there's any other questions for well, and I guess you also saw that Meher also had to leave the meeting, but he is definitely available, and you have his contact details there. So if you have anything, maybe I can just briefly tell you about what he already. What Meher already announced, and that is that he's working with us, with Victim Support Europe, on developing our very own online training platform. And I would use this opportunity also to thank very much Melissa for having supported us in kind of imagining what we might achieve. And it seems to be much more is possible than what we initially had, like a modest ambition to do. So we'll be working with Meher and his team in the next few months to see where this endeavor will lead us, and we'll be happy to keep you informed about how it's happening. But for the time being, we are really very, very focused on looking into the potentials of online training. And I do agree with the concerns that Nikita has raised in terms of not much can replace personal contact. And even though, like, we can animate people and we can make sure that they participate in discussions, and we can be kind of very, very entertaining in all of that, and very good in attracting people to participate online, as we were having some discussions on the side chat with our team members. It's just, you know, if you don't have that coffee and those cookies during a coffee break, then it's really difficult to get this really personal touch between people. And I think that that's one of the biggest disadvantages of online events, is that they're impersonal usually. So this is definitely something that we'll have to work on and make it more personal, but probably for the foreseeable future, also something that we'll have to rely on heavily in the reality that's surrounding us at the moment. And thank you, Melissa. I see that you shared your email address. I'm sure that you'll be getting many contacts. So I don't know if anyone has any other question or comment, or want to share their own experience in this regard, or their own vision. All right. Well, then I won't keep you much longer, and we're almost we're on schedule, so that's also good. So I will thank you once again on behalf of Victim Support Europe, and on behalf of the rest of the team. Apologize for all the technical difficulties, but as I say, especially given that Barbara joined us from South Africa, it was already amazing that she could join us. And I will wish you very best for the rest of the evening, the rest of the week, and rest of the year. And I certainly hope to be in touch with all of you in our future work. So thank you very much, and have a great evening.